I would like to welcome our first guest. Cori Colby is an amazing teacher. Cori has been an educator since 1998, has taught in Wisconsin, Illinois, Nebraska, and Georgia, and you will love this, folks. Currently a Gwinnett County Public Schools math teacher. Welcome to Inspiring Voices from the Classroom. This is a one-of-a-kind show focused on highlighting mathematics classroom teachers and bringing positivity to the field. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher J. Childs. Let's go. 14 years in Gwinnett County Public Schools. Shout out to Gwinnett County Public Schools. I'd like to introduce everyone to my guest, Cori Colby. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
How are you doing today?
Good. It's, break and everything, so enjoying the time off right now from the classroom.
What made you become a teacher? Out of all the things we can do, think about it. We joke about this all the time.
Yeah.
Why did you become a teacher?
Probably my earliest recollections. When you're little and you're playing house or playing all those make-believe games and everything, mine was always school with my brother. And I would have him, here, do these little worksheets and everything. And so I just always remember having the heart of a teacher and wanting to help students. And then when I got into college, it was like, it just seemed the right fit. Was almost deterred, but then persevered through. And now here I am almost 20 years later.
The funny thing, I remember when I was in college, I said my backup plan was be a teacher. That was my backup plan, be honest. So I was in our electronic circuits class. And in that class, I was sitting and I told my friends, because I was a computer engineering major, if this engineering thing doesn't work out, I'm gonna do what they do. I was like, and I went through a whole spiel of why I want to do what they do, but I never thought I would be a classroom teacher, and it's been the most rewarding career I ever could have chose. Mm-hmm. One of the big things I've been working on is a lot of kids don't see themselves as mathematicians. And when I say don't see themselves, they literally don't see themselves in the mathematics experience. Mm-hmm. And as I think about this whole concept of identity with students, in your classroom, what do you do to build their math identity? You told an amazing story about how you went through it in your classroom experience when you were a student, but what are you doing now differently than that teacher to develop this mathematics identity with students?
I don't have them in rows, first of all. So whenever anyone walks by my classroom, they're like, oh, I want to be in your classroom. They don't even know what I'm doing. It just, the ambiance of it and not being in rows. I was fortunate to have tables. And so the kids are in tables and they're usually talking. And, even if it's just, how do I do this problem? Can you help me with this problem? And they're engaging in those conversations. And so everyone has that opportunity to help each other as well as, like you said, be successful on their own level.
It's funny you mentioned the roles, because we're not producing factory workers. Mm-hmm. That's where a lot of people don't know that's where the roles came from. As you talk about these students and this engagement factor, it makes me think about you definitely have a mission. Like you're on a trailblazing path as an educator. What is your sense of mission as it relates to engaging students in mathematics? Like, where is this passion and this fire coming from?
I think it was over the last few years, and it kind of stemmed when I had the opportunity after reading math blogs, the MTBOS hashtag on Twitter, and reading some of those, and then having the opportunity to meet some of those teachers a few years ago here in Atlanta, and just putting names to faces and then developing these connections through those teachers, which enabled me to meet you as well. And just recognizing that there's other teachers out there that want to create this change to make math and our math classrooms more enjoyable for our students.
And you found your tribe. And a lot of times we work with teachers, I tell them sometimes your tribe is in your classroom building. Sometimes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes your tribe is in your district, but now with the internet and with social media, your tribe can literally be around the world. Are we willing to reach out to those different folks to engage in folks that are like-minded? And as you found, especially through Twitter, there are a lot of teachers doing amazing things just like you. Yeah. But sometimes in your environment, you're like, it's just me. I'm by myself. I'm on this island. And I think about being on this island. Take us into that stats classroom. Like, What is it like being a student in your classroom?
Oh, before all of our current normal, we'll call it. There was the times when, I was looking back through some of my Instagram pictures of my classroom from a few years ago, and I'm like, I need to get back to that engagement, where students were stacking the little mini Oreos to create towers and then collecting their data that way. Or we were using pennies in the hallway to play golf to calculate standard deviation. And so just some ideas I had, gotten through others, or, some had introduced me to the CPM curriculum and some of those activities that are in that book and things like that. So it's just fun to see, and that we can have fun. And so the kids would really like, oh, this isn't your normal math class. We're here, playing games and having fun while still being able to do the math.
So you're telling us math can be fun?
Absolutely.
It can be lots of fun.
Absolutely.
Stats can be fun.
Oh, yes.
AP stats can be fun.
Yes, I'm looking forward to, bringing back all my food activities next semester.
Thinking about these activities and making it fun, there's a teacher out there watching this, and they're thinking to themselves, I want to be a teacher, but I don't know if I should be a teacher. Mm-hmm. If you can, I don't want to say wave a magic wand, but what is just I keep asking you for advice, because in this field, sometimes it can be lonely, or sometimes we just need good advice. Mm-hmm. Someone that wants to be a teacher, they don't know yet. What would you tell them?
If that's your passion, then stick with it. Don't be deterred by some of the negativity that could be out there. And then don't be afraid to ask for help. And so I think so many of them come in thinking that they're prepared with their college preparatory classes, or even some of the PD that they give new teachers. They think, oh, okay, that's enough, instead of reaching out to those teachers that have created those environments, or even the ones that still do the worksheets. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a time and a place for that. But just collecting all those different tools and finding the ones that work for you.
So asking for help is okay.
Absolutely.
I think we really need to let folks know in this field, asking for help is okay, because we always tell our students, ask for help. Mm-hmm. But then we don't want to ask for help.
Right.
But it is okay to ask for help in this field. Ask your colleagues, ask your friends, ask your Twitter friends. Mm-hmm. Because one of my friends has a saying, and a lot of people heard this saying, so it's not his saying, iron sharpens iron. So we have to constantly be willing to reach out for help, ask for help. Mm-hmm. One of the cool things in what I do, I get to work with some great minds in the field, and they still ask for help.
Yeah.
So it's understand that the great minds in the field are asking for help. I believe everyone should ask for help at some particular thing. Mm-hmm. What is just bringing you joy in general? It could be in the classroom, it could be in life, but just, you see, we're here in the Viber in Stone Mountain, we have glasses of wine, and one of the purposes of the show was to show teachers being humans. Yeah. So often we get just categorized in this box, in this classroom, that's it. But we live life too. Mm-hmm. We go to the store, we have fun, but what is bringing you joy nowadays?
Well, I just spent the week with my family.
Okay.
I have 3 siblings and our spouses, and my son and his family, so I'm a grandmother now, and it was fun just to be with them for the week, and it had been a long time since we had been together. And so just being around family and enjoying my grandson now that he's getting a little older. He's 16 months, so he's at that real fun age of learning to walk and talk and just exploring things. And so that's been fun. And then just getting out and enjoying time with friends that I don't necessarily get to work with anymore. Some have moved on from teaching, and so we still have those connections, and trying not to let life get in our way so much and make time to hang out and catch up.
And you say the grandbaby is 16 months. Are you doing math problems with the grandbaby yet?
Not quite as much, but just trying to give him toys that will help him enjoy math and recognize the patterns and things that are out there.
And then you talked about hanging out with friends. So teachers have friends outside of school.
Yes, we do.
Teachers have a social life outside of school.
Yes.
Teachers can have fun outside of school.
Absolutely.
So you hear that, folks. Teachers have fun. They live normal lives. They're human. But they also focus on educating kids. And notice I've been trying to use the word kids more often, children more often, because to me that gives them the more human aspect. When the students are so formal, when we take it to, they're literally children, they're babies. Yeah. And we think about this lens of babies, most of them are under 18 years old, they're going to live a lot longer. So they're still babies at this stage. They're growing and developing just as we are growing and developing. There's a quote that's going around on social media, and it talked about it through the lens of a parent. And they're saying you realize later, as you were growing up as a child, your parents were growing up too. Mm-hmm. I think that also applies to teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And children won't realize it in the classroom, but they'll realize it later. Your teacher was growing up just as you were growing up at the same time.
Yep.
And when you sit back and reminisce, it kind of blows your mind. Thinking about our first year teaching to now, you're like,
whoa.
Do you remember your first year teaching? Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
One of the things on this show we want to focus on, we talked about educating within the classroom. We talked about what brought you joy. We need to, in my opinion, in this time in the field, education is under attack. Mm-hmm. Every facet of education is under attack, especially public school education. And I want to do something on the show called like a call to action. If you can call to action whatever you want in the field, like I said, you have a magic wand, but it actually can become reality because anything can become reality. What would be your call to action? It could be teachers out there, it could be to the education professionals in general. Mm-hmm. What would be your call to action to the field?
I think our biggest concern is getting rid of the negativity, for math. I mean, education, like you said, is under attack, but particularly math is always that subject that is always spoken of negatively. And I think if we can get rid of that negativity even early on, then by the time they get to high school, they may give everything a chance. They won't shut down and they can see that it is enjoyable.
So it's the mindset.
Absolutely.
Having a positive mindset as it relates to being a teacher, as it relates to being a child, as it relates to the whole educational process. And that's one of the things we do need to push more of, this positive mindset. It goes a long way. Mm-hmm. One of the things I was taught when I first started teaching, stay out the teacher's lounge. Because it can be a cesspool sometimes for all the things that are going wrong. And I was like, I always now, even now, I say, when someone, again, sometimes you need to vent, tell me something positive. And it changes their mindset. Well, tell me something that's good that's going. The same thing with the children. A lot of times when folks vent, they tell us this is not going right. Well, tell me one thing that child has done well.
Yeah.
It's how do we flip and how do we change that particular mindset? As we can start to wrap up the show in this episode, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. What do you want to leave the viewers with? What do you want to leave? Speak directly to teachers, not even just the viewer. To teachers, what do you want to leave with them and posit into them?
How rewarding this profession can be. And despite all the negativity, all the attacks that are happening, and even in our current new normal of COVID, that things can still be enjoyable. And it is what you make of it. And inside those four walls, that's what you have control over. And what you want to impart into your students, you have that control. That's the only thing you have control over. And take it and run with it and make it what you want it to be for your students.
Cori, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on to the show. And we're going to do something at the end of every show. We're going to do a toast to all the teachers out there because it can be rewarding feel. It can be a fun feel. And you can unwind and relax. Have a glass of wine. So toast to you, Cori, and all the amazing teachers out there.
Thank you, Dr.
Cheers.
Childs.
Thank you. Malcolm X once said, a high-quality education is the passport to the future. It is our job as educators to make sure every child receives this high-quality education. That's why this show was started, because it starts with teachers in the classroom. Teachers doing three things. First, educating the children. Second, inspiring the children. Third, advocating for the children. If you don't do it, who is going to do it? I want all of you to use this show, Inspiring Voices from the Classroom, to nurture, to cultivate, and to bring positivity into this profession. Teachers, you know I love you and I care about you and continue doing amazing and great things. Until the next time, this has been your boy, Dr. Christopher J. Childs. Inspiring Voices from the Classroom is brought to you by the National Math Festival. It's organized by the Mathematical Sciences Research Institute. We're grateful to NMF key partners and NMF sponsors for their generous ongoing support. Do you know an amazing classroom teacher that should be featured on our show? Go to www.nmf.org christopherchilds.com/shows and complete the guest form.